London. So Harry's in a bit of a pickle, isn't he? I mean, this whole thing with the British tabloids, it's just spiraling. You got the Duke of Sussex all fired up about holding these papers because specifically, they went after the allegations against Katie Nicholl. She used to be the diary editor for the Mail on Sunday, and she's a pretty well-known talking head on TV. The defense is claiming she wasn't some sneaky snoop, but that she was actually invited to a private party back in 2011 at Kensington Roof Gardens by Harry himself. And apparently they stayed in touch after that, running in the same social circles. I mean, that's a far cry from a criminal conspiracy, isn't it? And then came the kicker. According to the defense, Nicholl's response to Harry's accusations was pretty blunt. "No, Harry, you invited me to come and party with you." Ouch, that's gotta sting. It completely undermines his whole victim narrative. Makes it look like he's got a personal vendetta against someone he actually knew and socialized with. It suggests at the very least a complicated relationship, not some clear-cut case of criminal harassment. The case against Rebecca English is similar. Harry's lead lawyer, David Sherborne, tried to show an email from 2010 where English was supposedly trying to get flight details for Harry's then-girlfriend, Chelsea Davy, from a private jet company. Sherborne argued that this proved she was using illegal methods to get information, but the defense shot that down, too, saying the email didn't prove anything illegal. They pointed to English's long career as a legitimate journalist, her professional access during Harry's time as a working royal. The combined effect of all this is pretty devastating for Harry. It humanizes these journalists, makes them seem like they're just doing their jobs, and it makes Harry look like he's on some personal witch hunt, exaggerating things and blurring the lines between normal journalism and actual criminal activity. You could see the toll it was taking on him in court. He looks stressed, older. The irony is thick, right? The guy who spent years complaining Abu press intrusion is now sitting in a courtroom with the entire world watching his every move as he tries to destroy the careers of these journalists. And the fact that his legal team is bailing, that's huge. It shows they've lost faith in his case. One legal analyst said that when solicitors walk away like that, it's because they think their client's instructions are unsustainable or the evidence has completely fallen apart. They're not abandoning the law. They're abandoning Harry's version of events. It's brutal, but that's how it is. For Harry, this is a disaster, plain and simple. This case was supposed to be the cornerstone of his and Meghan's whole crusade against the UK media. They framed it as this moral battle, right? Good versus evil. But if it collapses, it's more than just a legal defeat. It's a huge symbolic blow. It undermines, meanwhile, these reporters, they're coming out looking pretty good. They're not these faceless villains Harry's painted them to be. They're established professionals defending their reputations. Katie Nicholl, who just beat cancer, and Rebecca English, who's been covering the royals for years. They're fighting back. They're saying Harry's narrative is BS, that he's rewriting history to make himself look better. The whole trial has shifted. It's not just about what these journalists did 10 years ago. It's become a referendum on Harry's judgment, his relationship with the truth, and whether he's just waging a personal war. And the fact that his lawyers are bailing, that's the clearest sign yet that he's losing. The image of him sitting in that courtroom, it was pretty stark. He looked miserable, diminished, like a little kid in a suit that's too big for him. This was supposed to be his big moment, his chance to finally get back at the tabloids. Instead, it's turning into a public meltdown. And where's Meghan in all of this? She's an ocean away in Monaco. Radio silence. No public displays of support. No holding his hand as he walks into court. Nothing. For a couple who built their brand on this us against the world narrative, her absence is deafening. It screams volumes. He moved his family across the world to protect them. And now he's standing alone, facing the music. Sources are saying the atmosphere around Harry is tense, despondent. The legal team's resignation wasn't just a tactical setback. It was a vote of no confidence. They're basically saying his case is a loser. This leaves him exposed. Not just legally, but emotionally. His misery in court. It's not just about the tough questions he's facing. It's about watching his whole identity, his righteous victimhood, being torn apart in front of everyone. The testimony, it's been brutal. It attacks his narrative of being unilaterally persecuted. The stories about him inviting Katie Nichol to parties, about their social contact, it paints a much more complicated picture. It suggests that he was an active participant in the whole media game, that he benefited from it at times. Having this whole thing highlights a major contradiction in Harry's post-royal life. He and Meghan built a freaking empire on their personal story, selling documentaries, books, and podcasts. But when the most important legal chapter of that story is being written, he's on his own. Meghan's absence suggests a strategic retreat. She's distancing herself from this mess. She's had her own run-ins with the press, but she's clearly decided this is Harry's battle to fight and maybe to lose. You can see the emotional toll on him, his posture, his distant gaze, the lack of that defiant energy he used to have. He looks miserable. He's caught between two worlds. The one he was born into, which he claims rejected him, and the one he built, which doesn't seem to be supporting him now. That California dream is looking pretty distant right now. Ultimately, Harry's misery is a symptom of a bigger strategic failure. He tried to transplant the dynamics of a royal feud where you can just put out statements and rely on friendly media into a court of law. But the courtroom doesn't care about narratives. It cares about evidence, cross-examination, and cold, hard facts. Meghan, the architect of their media strategy, isn't there because there's no media strategy left to execute. There's just a case, and it's falling apart. The judge, the press gallery, the empty chair where Meghan should be sitting, it's all converging to create this crushing pressure. He wanted to be seen as a warrior for justice, but he looks like a stranded soldier. His allies have left. His fortress of solitude has been revealed to be just that, solitary. His misery isn't just personal. It's the result of a campaign that mistook publicity for power and confession for clout. And in a court of law, neither is enough. Okay, so let's talk about what this all really means, right? Forget the legal jargon and the royal drama for a second. This whole thing is a masterclass in how not to handle a PR crisis, and honestly, how not to be a public figure in the 21st century. Harry's playing this game like it's still the 90 seconds like. He can just cry invasion of privacy, and everyone's supposed to automatically side with the poor little prince. But the world doesn't work like that anymore. People are savvier. They see through the BS, and they definitely don't like being lectured by a guy who's made millions airing his dirty laundry. Ian, come on. The irony is just dripping off this case. He's suing the tabloids for invading his privacy while simultaneously selling every intimate detail of his life to the highest bidder. It's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. You can't complain about the press when you're literally using the press to make money. And Meghan's absence, that's just telling, isn't it? They're supposed to be this power couple, this united front against the world, but when things get tough, she's nowhere to be seen. It's like she's already distancing herself, calculating the fallout. I don't know. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't scream ride or die, that's for sure. Here's the thing. Harry's lost the narrative. He's lost the public sympathy. He's painted himself into a corner, and now he's lashing out at everyone around him. And honestly, it's not a good look. It makes him seem bitter, entitled, and completely out of touch. And the fact that his legal team is bailing, that's not just a legal setback. It's a PR disaster. It sends a message that even they don't believe in his case. It suggests that he's so unreasonable, so stubborn, that even the people he's paying to represent him can't stand to be around him. Look, I'm not saying the tabloids are saints. They're not. They're often ruthless and invasive. But Harry's approach is completely backfiring. He's not winning hearts and minds. He's not changing the system. He's just making himself look like a fool. And the worst part is this whole thing is so unnecessary. He could have just ignored the tabloids. He could have focused on his charity work. He could have just lived his life in peace. But instead, he chose to wage this war. And now he's paying the price. It's a cautionary tale. Really, a reminder that fame and fortune don't buy you happiness, and that sometimes the best thing to do is just walk away. But Harry, he can't seem to let go. He's obsessed with proving himself right, even if it means destroying himself in the process. And honestly, at this point, it's hard to feel sorry for him. He's made his bed, and now he has to lie in it. Even if that bed is a lonely wood-paneled courtroom in London with the whole world watching him fall apart, the whole thing just screams epic fail. He's in a mess of his own making, and it doesn't look like he's getting out of it anytime soon.